Welcome, everyone. Welcome to a new series that I am launching. And this series is a very special series called Expert Interviews with Ken. This is a series where I basically interview other people who are experts in their own fields, whatever their profession is, and we get a chance to hear their story and what it is they're doing for people. So with that, let's dive into today's guest on Expert Interviews with Ken. All right, welcome everyone. So who I have on the interview today is I have Chandra Skye, and she is a world traveler and caregiver who has healed from chronic conditions, finding vibrant renewal in her life. She supports hospice patients, teaches Pilates to those who are recovering from addiction, and she creates a multi-texture wearable art that mirrors her colorful experiences. From a past that is marked by despair, she now shines with a brilliant inner light, inviting others to discover their own radiance. And so with that, I, want to turn it over to Chandra, and let's begin today.
Thank you so much for having me, Ken. I'm excited to be here.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure having you on this interview today. So let's dive a little bit deeper into that whole entire story. I mean, wow, world traveler, caregiver, who has healed from chronic conditions. So why don't we start there? Dive into that story, all of it, the world traveler part, the caregiver part, and, the chronic condition that you've healed from. Let's start there.
All right. I'll start with the world traveling. Traveling has, I think, been the one passion that I've been able to sustain my entire life. As a child, I remember during summers, my grandma and I would pour over maps of different regions in the world. And we would go to the library and do research on the people who lived in these places. And the concept of people living somewhere that I had never been, never heard of, just always seemed so fascinating. And I've always been greedy to see as many places as I can.
Mm.
Um, and then, I started traveling around 18. Like as soon as I was on my own, I hit the road. And I remember seeing how different people not only relate, but how different people survive in different places. And in using my love of travel and my love of serving others, um, I kind of feel like taking my talents of serving um, into an international uh, outreach is is where I'm happiest. And what I outreach is healing. I have gone from being on a cane, suffering from debilitating hip dysplasia with a torn labrum, looking at getting a hip replacement, to now for about 4 years now with a regular Pilates practice being completely pain-free without any surgery at all, without any injections, without any um, any medical modifications were. And so I want to bring that kind of healing to other people. And I found a way that has worked so well for me, and I just want to pass it on.
That is awesome. So dive deeper into how you were able to heal from all of that on your own without any medical help or anything. That in itself, I mean, I don't think you realize, I mean, I'm sure you realize, but I don't think many people listening to this realize how much of a miracle that is, and just almost unheard of nowadays. Just the ability to recover from something as severe as that without the medical system. So share a bit about more about that, and let's dive deep into that, because I know that there are some people going, what? How in the world did she do that?
Sure. And it's very easy to talk myself out of it being a big deal. You know what I mean? It's like life goes on. There's other people who are hurting. So thank you for making me pause for a moment and reflect on just how big it was,
Hmm.
because it was monumental and it did change my life. So, once you get to a certain age, I think doctors treat you either as, well, this is just the normal part of aging,
Hmm.
or you're not supposed to be at the point where this normal part of aging hits you yet. So what do we do with you? And that's where I found myself in, surgical consultations for a new hip. The problem with putting a new hip in a 41-year-old at the time is that I would be looking at outliving maybe three hips. I would have to get that same hip replaced several more times because they wear out. And no doctors wanted to take a chance on it. And I'm so glad that they didn't. In the last surgeon that I had a consult with, he was convinced that I just didn't have the right physical therapist helping me.
Hmm.
I'm like, look, I've gone through 2 rounds. I've gone 16 weeks each round, and it's gotten so bad I can't walk a block. Physical therapy isn't working. He said, just try this one. So he recommended I go to, I want to say it was Western Physical Therapy in Denver. I'll have to get you that specific name. But my therapist was very heavy into Pilates. So, in addition to the normal hip strengthening exercises that we had been doing and really focusing on the hip joint, she also gave me Pilates movements to try on my own time. And with that, I loved the combination of breathing as you move, as you center yourself and get in tune with where your body is placed and your limbs are placed. And it just spoke to me in such a powerful way. And I started doing Pilates regularly as I went through this last round of physical therapy. Within 12 weeks, my cane was gone. And
Wow.
that was monumental because at this point, I had been on a cane for almost 2 years and pretty convinced that was it for me. So about 12 weeks later, the cane goes. Now I'm going to flash forward 6 months of regular dedicated Pilates practice and using the exercises that the physical therapist gave me, I completely became pain free. With a still mechanically defunct hip, my muscles are strong enough to keep that hip in joint so that I never have pain as long as I keep moving.
You know what? It just emphasizes something that I already teach in my program, how important movement is and the right movement, functional movement, all of it. And it's one of the reasons why definitely exercise and movement is part of my 7-part framework that I work with clients that come through my program. Because God did not design us to sit for hours and hours and day. He didn't design us to sit on the couch or sit for hours and hours in front of a desk or a computer. I mean, I'm an entrepreneur, so I do sit for multiple hours in front of my computer, but I'm always in between that. I'm getting up, I'm moving, I'm doing little things, I'm making sure that I'm getting in that movement. And then also, I have my regular gym routine, which a lot of it is very functional. I mean, I have my days where it's just strength training and I'm sitting on a piece of equipment, lifting weights and stuff like that. And then I have my days where it's very functional. I'm very active. I'm very athletic and different things like that. And so the fact that you have been able to fully heal from proper functional movement and everything goes to prove that, yeah, no, our bodies were not designed to sit for long hours and different things like that. God literally has designed us to be creatures of movement. And
Mm.
you're a living testimony on why that is, because yeah, when you're not as active and you're not as intentional, with your movement, with exercise, we get these ailments, and they start showing up. And your testimony is literally, hey, I started adapting these practices of Pilates in my life. And now look, I have no more hip pain. I don't have to rely on a cane. My hip is just fine now because it's been strengthened by all these things. It, that just speaks volumes.
It's pretty exciting. It makes me pretty geeked about continuing my Pilates practice and sharing it.
Yeah.
And now I'm a Pilates instructor, and I'm going through a very intense curriculum to get comprehensively certified, which is pretty much where I can teach any kind of Pilates apparatus. One common argument I get as to why people don't want to sign up for Pilates is, well, I have a bad back, or I have bad hips, or I have bad knees, or I've had surgery. And I get excited. I'm like, you're perfect then, because this is a rehabilitative exercise.
Mm.
The Pilates reformer was actually designed for patients who were bedbound. And they were not designed for the healthiest of us who have these boutique gym memberships. They're made for people who couldn't walk to get them strong again.
Hmm.
So when I hear of people with ailments, I say, just be patient with me. But we're gonna be pretty surprised with where that pain goes if you stick with me. And it always works.
It just, I love that. And what you have in your hands is something that's very powerful. And I know you're going to change a lot of people's lives. I myself have a little bit of a story. Now, I didn't necessarily use Pilates in this particular instance, but let's just say movement and functional movement, I really think aided in a great way my recovery from this. About, oh, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, I had a severe herniated disc in my lower back that I got. Worst pain I've ever been in my life. I never want to feel that kind of pain ever again. The pain, I didn't even feel the pain in my lower back, actually. That's what was interesting. The pain literally radiated through my left butt cheek all the way to the front of my hip, radiated all the way through my quadricep. And it literally felt like somebody was drilling a hole in the side of my knee. And it also radiated all the way down the front of my shin on my left leg, and half of my foot was numb. Just because of the nerve that was being hit in my lower back, and somehow it hit a particular area of the sciatic nerve. So unlike most people experience the pain on the backside of their leg, but because my herniated disc hit some kind of extension of it, everything I felt was on the front part of my leg and the left part of my butt cheek.
Mm.
Worst pain. Yeah. Getting up in the morning, I swear it's like the first step, and I was like limping. I was like limping to get to this dresser back here, like crazy, because I could barely even get out of bed. And it took me about 10, 15 minutes in the morning to get to where I could finally walk. And let's not even talk about bathroom things. And that's about as extensive as I'm going to put that. But yeah, um, in the beginning of that, I didn't go see anybody at first. I thought maybe I just tweaked something in my lower back and I just needed to give it some time, but it just continued to get worse and worse until finally one day I was just like, I've got to do something. This is not correct. Um, and I was thinking about going through the regular medical system during that time. And I started the process, and then it was interesting. I had a gut feeling that I should defer. And so I did, and I called somebody else who I had seen before, we have these like little chiropractic joints here in Escondido. In fact, that's what it's called, is the joint. And it's basically, so it's not an actual like private chiropractor facility. It is more of a corporate owned thing. And basically it's it's basically the concept of fast food for chiropractic services. So you're in and you're out like within 4 to 5 minutes, like literally. So it's not an in-depth treatment or anything like that. So but this one lady, back in the early years of going to this particular place, um, I remembered her and she gave me her card. And so she no longer worked at this facility. And I don't think she worked for this particular company anymore at all. But I called her on her card and I told her what I was going through. And she then sent me to this one guy that she recommended. He got a hold of me and, he did some things, some testing, and let me tell you how he moved my leg and the little things he did to kind of test things out to find out what was wrong with me. I think I screamed in his office. It was so painful. So needless to say, he told me right then and there, he's like, I'm not even going to touch you as far as adjusting you. Here's what I recommend. And so he put me through spine decompression treatments. And then through that journey, Um, I think in the beginning of it, I decided I was going to take a break from the gym. I was going to take like a 2, 3 week break and give myself time to rest. Well, that didn't work either. I lasted until day 7 and I was just like, F this. No, I'm going back to the gym. That's my heavy place. That's my happy place. Going back to the gym was painful, but I was happy. I was very happy. And the first 10 minutes of getting into my routine, it was painful. But then once my body warmed up, the pain kind of went away. It was still kind of like it was there, but not as sharp. And then it didn't start back up till the end of my workout. But anyhow, my chiropractor thankfully never told me not to go to the gym. He never ever said that. I did come back to him a couple weeks later and said, okay, here's what I'm still doing. I'm doing this, this, and this, and this, and this at the gym. And again, like I said, he never said, no, I don't want you going to the gym. He's just like, he basically went, yes, yes, no, yes, but do it this way. Yes, and do it this way instead. Um, and so just through some of his instructions to me kind of gave me a little bit of knowledge to go start doing some research on my own about how to take care of your spine, how to do simple movements. And a lot of the movements that I've adapted into my life now, especially like after a very extensive athletic routine in my workout, um, are from actually yoga. I will use a lot of those movements to take care of my spine. Fast forward to that journey, and it was a very painful journey, but fast forward about 2 or 3 years later, I recovered 100%, and I have still remained recovered 100%. And it's just amazing. I think a lot of my recovery and getting to the point of 100%, I think it was because of my movement. It was because of the functionality of what I was doing at the gym, not just sitting on a piece of equipment, like I said, but I think it was the functionality of it. Um, and also the things that I learned along the way, how to take care of my spine, how to make sure that I'm stretching it and maneuvering it correctly, and all of that other stuff. Paying attention to posture, that was another big one. My chiropractor told me many times, it's like when you sit at your desk, I want you sitting with piano-like posture, is what he used to tell me all the time. And I don't always reach that, but I am way more knowledgeable, or way more not knowledgeable, way more aware of how I'm sitting. That's one of the reasons why I have a pillow back here. One of the reasons why I have a pillow back here is not because I need the back support. It's constantly reminding me to sit up and to not slouch at my desk. So little things like that. There's a whole bunch of things I learned along that journey, along the way, that is now serving me for the rest of my life. And I am forever grateful because he gave me my life back. And I didn't have to go through surgery. I didn't have to go through any of that. He gave me my life back, but he also gave me enough room to explore and to learn and all this other stuff, which is invaluable. I mean, another way of putting it is if I was given the opportunity to go back in the past and delete that whole thing from happening, would I? No, I wouldn't. Why? Because what I learned through that journey was so powerful. And I've been able to take it with me for the rest of my life. Now, if something does get a little wonky down there, and usually if it does, I mean, let's just say pain level on the scale of 1 to 10. What I mean by a little wonky is maybe it's a 0.5, maybe it's a 1. I know what I need to do and the simple yoga exercises that I need to do to get rid of it, and it goes away. So, I mean, again, just accentuating the fact on why movement, exercise, functionality, and I specifically add in the word functionality to that, why those are very, very important.
Thank you for sharing that story. And it is just another testament to how becoming in tune with your body, especially a body that is dealing with some mechanical defects,
Mhm.
learning how it works when it's not working, how it works when it's working and feeling well, and how to bridge the two, and
Yes.
putting those healthy habits into place, like your pillow, or being mindful to have that piano posture, right? In
Right?
Pilates, everything is keeping yourself long, right? So if I'm doing a bend to the right side, I'm not collapsing in my right side. I'm lengthening with the left side so that everything is raising, everything is long. There is no crunching. And it's just these little tiny things like that that just helps you learn where your body is in space at all times. Even, I mean, you can even look graceful standing at the line at the grocery store, you know?
Right? Right. Here's something interesting else that I'll share about that whole journey. So before the pop of my herniated disc, if you will, before that, I had severe tight lower back and lower back pain issues usually. Every day when I got home from the gym, um, and then I would sit down and start resting, it was like I'd get up from my chair and I felt like an old man. And I was like kind of walking, kind of humped down because my lower back was just so tight. It didn't matter how much stretching I did. I mean, I think I spent way too much time stretching. And that was another thing I also learned through the journey is the type of stretching that I needed to be doing, which was not static stretching. The stretching that I needed to be doing was more active and functional stretching. And but yeah, I used to have a tight lower back all the time. Ever since I've healed from that herniated disc and went through that journey, I have not had a tight lower back ever since then. I have not had a problem with it. Again, that goes to say I just learned certain things on how to take care of myself and to be mindful of how I'm moving. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Being sore does not have to be the rule of thumb as you get older. It just doesn't.
Mm-mm.
And I try to remind my loved ones all the time when they're like, oh, well, this is what it's like when you hit middle age. I'm like, no, you can speak for yourself, but I don't have any pain. As long as I keep moving, I have no pain. So you are not preaching to the choir here.
To give you an idea on how extensive my functional athletic cardio routine is, number one, it's not on a machine. You'll never find me on a cardio machine. I do not like those. They're the most boring thing in the world.
They really are.
But I actually get people that pull me aside and go, "What are you training for? Are you going on one of those shows like Ninja Warrior or something like that? Geez, what are you training for?" So that kind of gives you an idea on how extensive my routine is. And I'm hard on my body. And then the other thing is I've had a lot of people get surprised when they find out how old I am. You know, I'm 48 and I'm doing all the things. I'm rolling around on the ground. I'm doing novice parkour stuff on the walls. I am hopping from Bozu ball to Bozu ball. I am running around. I mean, I'm doing all kinds of different things, ball slamming, all kinds of different things. And it's all to steady state heart rate. So I work to get my heart rate up to a certain level, and then I just keep going at that level. And yeah, I'm 48, and people are just like, how in the world are you still doing this? And one thing that I have to remind people of too is, hey, look, I've been at this for 9 years. This is all conditioning at this point. I'm used to this. And, there's like, oh, well, I could never do that. And I'm like, no, that's not true. I said, you have to remember that I started at square one. And what you're seeing now is 9 years of conditioning that I put myself through. And anybody can get to the point to where I'm at right now with the stuff I do. So, I mean, that's just another volume. Another thing that I'll speak to, and then I want to turn it back over to you because this is not my spotlight, it's yours. But
I'm enjoying
another
it.
thing I'll speak to, I'm going to be honest with you, there are some elderly people that I see come through the gym, and even on Instagram, there's a couple of them that I follow on Instagram that are doing crazy athletic functional workouts at 70, 80 years old. And so again, that kind of speaks to what you were saying. Age doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Age doesn't matter. Um, if you allow yourself to get to the point where age matters, then yes, it matters. But if you don't allow yourself to get to that point, no, age does not matter. I'm hoping the audience listening to this grasp on to what I just said.
Mm,
And I'm
me
going to turn
too.
it back to you.
Well, I mean, it's so true though. Just think if we all just invested 15 to 20 minutes on ourselves every day into just doing one little thing, just parking the car at the furthest section of the parking lot, putting that into practice.
Mm-hmm.
Doing something like, okay, I'm going to do as many laps as I can in my house today, right? All of these things add up. The more we are up, the more we're challenging ourselves, the more we're practicing. It really compounds, and the benefits of taking care of our bodies compound a lot faster than we think they do. Just like the road downhill compounds a lot faster,
Yes,
right? Yeah, yeah.
100%.
Um, and there's just, the unfortunate thing is that we're a society that loves a quick fix. I want a pill that's going to give me the energy. I want a pill that's going to take away the urge to eat food so that I can give an aesthetic that I'm strong, even though I'm not. And that's just not the way real benefits happen. It takes years of conditioning your body to do crazy parkour moves. It takes years of conditioning your bodies to get into a Pilates teaser using just your core. These are not things that you can do overnight. And so we tend to get a little distracted
Mm-hmm.
when we can't just pick up that magic pill, right? When really all you have to do is just look a few years down the road. I'm saving money on blood pressure medicine because I eat healthy and I don't have the heart disease that my family does, you know? I'm
Yes.
saving money on ibuprofen and Aleve because I take care of my body in a way that I don't have pain. These little things have huge benefits in the long run. It's just not hard.
It's not. You've just got to, one piece at a time, one step at a time, and you hit it on the bullseye when you said, everybody's looking for quick fixes. I think I shared with you, I'm a weight loss coach. My brand is Mastery Weight Loss. And that's actually one of the things that I teach in my 7-part framework in that, and it's in the mindset section. Because here's the thing, anybody can go out and lose 20, 30, and 40 pounds like that. No problem. People can do it. People do it all the time. They go on this quick fix diet. Again, quick fix, right? But how many people do you know have been able to keep that weight off once they've lost it? And
Not
see,
many.
the response is the same every single time. That's how I know it's the truth. Um, yeah, you sitting there, you're shaking your head. The response is the same every single time. And that's why I teach every person that I get a hold of. Look, here's what I say. I like this because it's funny, it makes them laugh, but it gets the point across. I want you to take everything you've ever learned about a diet. I want you to take every list. I want you to take every food restriction. I want you to take every system, everything you've ever been taught, programmed, learned about a diet. Package it up into a nice little cardboard box, wrap a bow on it if it pleases you. Then I want you to take an entire bottle of lighter fluid and I want you to dump the thing out all over the box. And I want you to light the freaking thing on fire. um, yeah, see,
Solid
it's
advice.
it's
Yes.
it's it's perfect. It's funny, but it gets the point across. Um, and that's it. That's it. If you want to make lasting results in your life, it can no longer be about a diet. It cannot be about quick fixes anymore. Um, and that's what I just want to really get across to people. It's I had something else that I wanted to say. I was going a certain direction. It was there and I lost it, but I'll get it back. Um, it's just it's the approach. It cannot be approached by a diet. It has to be approached by a journey. Same with ailments and different things like that. It has to be approached as a journey, just like my herniated disc was approached by a journey. It couldn't be quick fixes. As a matter of fact, in the very early part of the healing, when I was still way up on the pain scale, I tried yoga in the very beginning. And because I was looking to, to make it go quicker, to make it heal quicker. But the interesting part of that, for that particular part of the journey, yoga, it wasn't the right time for me. At that particular time, it was too late to do it. So I, kind of put yoga aside and I just worked on my regular workout routine and gritting my teeth through that. And then eventually I did return back to yoga and I kind of learned certain movements that I could take and do here at my home and I can do after an extreme athletic routine that served me every single time. So again, it's timing, it's learning through the journey. Now, when in the beginning I went to go try to do yoga and it didn't work because it was too painful, did I give up? Nope, I didn't. I just pivoted and tried something else to help me through the journey. Again, that speaks to the point. Um, but yeah, it can never be about the quick fixes again, because that's what I was going to say. I knew I would eventually come back to it. Okay. Diets in general, I really think are pretty darn close to the definition of insanity. If you are going to do all of that work to lose the weight, if you are going to restrict yourself and create and do all that work, why not do it in a way that produces long lasting and permanent results? So it's the very last time you have to do it ever again. I mean, again, that also speaks to where you're coming from as well. But anyhow, that's my spiel on that. I can just go on and go on about stuff.
That's okay. This is good stuff. And it speaks to my heart as well. It's all in the slow, very slow at times forward motion. And it feels like a crawl. Some days it hurts. I mean, not really. It's just uncomfortable and humbling sometimes.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's always a slow crawl forward. And, like you said, the aesthetic should be a side effect of living a healthier life. It should not be the goal or else you're missing the entire point. And I don't mean you specifically. You're
Yeah, no.
not missing anything.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, but the average bear, I mean, if you're looking for a six pack and you're just trying to get to the six pack, you'll never get there, at least not here and in your heart, because it's not going to last. Now, if you're looking to eat clean, if you're looking to move regularly and lift weights and keep your strength where it needs to be, a six pack is pretty possible, pretty doable. Not for everybody. And that's just, a body type thing. But as long as it's not the goal and it's a side effect, it's a beautiful side effect. It's fun.
It
It's
is.
great.
It is.
I
And
had
it's,
my first six pack at 42 and it was amazing. I was like,
bam,
oh,
there you go.
cool.
And it can absolutely happen. And yeah, to further speaking of that as well, it's the becoming process. And you hit the nail right. I mean, you hit it right on the bullseye. It's the heart, it's the mind, it's embracing the journey, it's allowing the journey to transform you, not externally, transform you in here, in the heart, and in the mind. Because coming out on that journey, when you reach the goal that you want, now you're going to stay there. Why? Because you've changed in here and in here. That's the key to lasting change.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Keep on crawling forward.
Yep. And when you try to shortcut it like with a diet, here's the other detrimental thing about a diet. And sad, if you really think about it, it's sad and depressing. Um, when you go on a diet, you literally skip the process of becoming. You literally
Mm,
skip it. So here's another way of looking at it. When you finally reach that goal, there's going to be a celebration around it. It's going to feel good. You're going to be on cloud nine and everything. But all the gold, all the treasure, and all the gems is not found there. It's found back there. The milestones you hit, the things you learned, the challenges you faced and conquered, all of that, that is going to be the treasure because that is what has now made you who you are.
exactly. Exactly. All the times that you finish a workout going, oh my God, how did I do that? How, how in the world did my body just accomplish that? That is the payoff,
Yes,
you
that
know?
is the payoff. Yeah, that's the amazing part.
Let's
So
get other
how
people on this journey.
right, exactly. So back to you. So you're looking to certify yourself to take on other patients and clients.
Yes,
Yeah. So
absolutely.
how far are you from that happening?
Well, I just my website just launched, so that's exciting. If you go to strollingskye.com, I'm offering Nat Pilates virtually. So
Nice.
that is going to be pretty much private sessions, semi-privates, and very small groups so that I can see where everybody's alignment is. I can see where their
Mm,
breath is, and keeping it small helps keep that focus where it needs to be.
yeah. Awesome. Awesome. And so are you open up for classes now or are you still building towards that direction? What's going on there?
I am ready for classes now. All they have to do is go on my website and book an appointment, and we have a complimentary session to see how everybody is moving, go through any current ailments, what the goals are, which is not going to be a six pack, but rather, hey, I want to be pain free in 3 months. That's a goal we can work on.
There you go. Sizable, sustainable goals.
Yes, absolutely.
See, what I want the people to hear from this is it's not going to be overwhelming. It's going to be sizable, it's going to be customizable, it's going to be bite size, and you are going to work with them to build them up to where they want to go.
Absolutely. And I can work with all levels. I have some clients who have multiple sclerosis. I have clients who are in their 70s and 80s. I have clients who were dancers and have the bodies of ballerinas and are a little hypermobile. So I can work with all bodies.
What about a body of somebody who is challenged when it comes to their weight? What does that look like?
Well, the approach doesn't look any different for this person. There would just be movements that move around where their limitations are. So if it's hard for them to be on hands and knees, for example, we would find ways to modify that, maybe knees and elbows rested on pillows or something.
Mm,
There's going to be plenty of work, and it will benefit every single body type.
that's awesome. It's I wanted to mention that because maybe somebody comes across this video and maybe they're challenged with weight and they're trying to battle through that. And I know that people that are challenged with weight, especially women that are challenged with weight, they're very hard on themselves
Mhm.
mentally. They're very hard on themselves in their heart and everything. Very, very extremely judgmental on themselves. And so
Absolutely.
I just kind of wanted to address that to blow that out of the water before they start that conversation inside their head.
Oh, yeah. These are the warriors I want. I
Yeah.
want them. Absolutely. I want to help them get to the point where they can do push-ups and feel like the badass they are and see that their scale is not an indicator of anything other than what their weight is on that day, which is so fluctuating. Paying attention to scale is never ever going to get us results. I could go on that for quite a
It's a
tangent.
tool. It's not the end all be all. And that's something else I do teach as well. It's not the end all be all. There are other things that are happening in your body. Your clothes are going to start getting looser and different things like that, but the scale may not change. Scale is not the end all be all. It's a tool and it is helpful and it does kind of show a little bit of progress, but it's not the end all be all.
Mm-mm. Because you want that weight, you want the muscles, and the scale is going to show you that there's muscles involved. But if people are just looking for those numbers to fall, it's just not recognizing those gems and treasures when they're headed your way.
Yeah. So you're not just an expert. In addition to being an expert in your field, you are also an empowerer.
Absolutely. I'm a peer coach and I live to serve others. I've always enjoyed giving back. And the way that I've found I can give back the most is teaching people how to heal. And whether that's healing from a body dysmorphia or healing from actual physical pain, I feel like I can offer that to people. And that is a probably a career path I never saw coming, and I'm so excited for.
That is awesome. That is awesome. You are giving a really amazing gift to people, the gift of movement. And yeah, the gift of movement, mobility, freedom, power, empowerment. I mean, I can think of all kinds of fun power words, but that's exactly what you're doing. I mean, I'm not trying to like overinflate it, but I'm inspired. That's awesome.
Thank you. I take that as a huge compliment because your story is also very inspiring. So for you
Thank
to
you.
say that helps me know I might be on the right track.
You are, and that is what I'm about. I'm about empowering people. I'm about giving the power back to the people. And you're part of that same message too, with what you're offering and what you're doing. You are giving the power back to the people. This industry has programmed people, kept people as slaves, especially the food industry. And that's kind of one of the things that my boot camp does is help people step out of that matrix food system that has kept people sick, stuck, and overweight for so many, many years, because that's how that system profits. And to have them come out of my boot camp empowered and with the power back into their own hands, because now they know what the lies are. Now they know what the real truth is. And now they can make more empowered and informed decisions around their food and not be swayed by the marketing deceptions that that industry also uses. I think we talked about that earlier too. Um,
Hmm.
and you're a part of that. You're empowering them to move. They've got ailments and they've got stuff that they're dealing with because of maybe even some harmful ingredients that they've been consuming that maybe they didn't know they were consuming. Um, you are giving them the power of movement back. And so that's just amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's not just movement. In the Pilates practice, it's a very meditative movement. And that's one thing I love so much about it. So many of us are on antidepressants, right?
Mm,
So many of us suffer from anxiety and
mm.
depression and so many different disorders. And I've found that in this Pilates practice, when you're focused on where you're breathing, you're focused on where your body is placed, and you're focused on how you're moving, there is no room for anything else in that brain for the entire duration of the workout.
I
You
agree.
literally leave all of your problems at the door. There is no room for them. They just don't show up to your workout. So you really get a break from all of the messaging, all of the bullshit, all of the stuff that weighs us down.
Yeah, she said bullshit. I love it.
Sorry.
No, I love it. I love it. In the proper context, I actually embrace using a few curse words every now and then. In the proper context, I think it has power. I really do. I'm not one of those that's just like, oh, don't use those words. If you're using it
Sure.
every other word, then I'm just like, no. But used in the right concept, I think it's appropriate. So yeah, go for it. You continue.
Rock on. Yeah, I mean it is powerful to get a break from the world for half an hour, 40 minutes, an hour, however long that workout is.
I agree, and one of the things that I remember when I finally did was able to really get back into yoga and just kind of enjoy it. Um, in the very beginning, it's a little bit of a struggle, kind of focusing in and just kind of like relaxing into it. But yes, you're correct. Once you kind of get into that state and you start getting relaxed and you start, focusing in on your movements, focusing in on the stretching, um, posture, all of it, all the things that come along with that, you are 100% correct. There's no more room for all the rest of it. You just start focusing in on your body, the way you're moving, what position you're supposed to be in. Um, and just make, it's like, okay, am I slouching? Am I doing this? You're thinking about all those things. You're there now in the moment. It doesn't happen
Hmm.
immediately. So if you go into a Pilates class, for example, and in the very beginning, there's like a whole bunch of junk just coming at you. Oh my gosh, my kid did this. Oh my gosh, my boss did this. Oh, I mean, and I'm just like throwing things out there. As you settle in and you start to focus in, that is going to go away. But don't judge yourself in the beginning and get frustrated with it because there were times that I myself got frustrated. I'm just like, oh, I just want to shut this stuff out.
Sure.
And you just have
Absolutely.
to relax into it, let it go. And even if it helps, allow those thoughts to be there. Don't try to fight them. Allow them to acknowledge them, allow them to be there, and then focus in on where you need to be. And then, approach it
Absolutely.
that way. But yeah, it's not going to happen like this. It might take you 10,
Sure.
15 minutes in there before you finally reach the state that you want.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a good reminder not to be discouraged if it doesn't just organically happen immediately.
Hmm.
Yeah. But it's also giving ourselves permission, right? Like my body is here. I might as well enjoy letting my body be in this space. And I might
Yes.
well enjoy the experience and fully immerse myself in it. Otherwise, what's the point?
100%.
Getting to a number on a scale, you
Yep.
know?
And that's why I wanted to speak to that. Again, we're speaking to the whole quick fix, microwave kind of thinking that we're so used to. And I just kind of wanted to blast that out of the water too, because I know that's one of the things that I struggled with.
Mm-hmm. is letting yourself be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. In the very beginning, when I was dealing with this pain, it was so hard not to let myself quit because I wasn't getting results in that first week. I wasn't getting results my first 2 weeks. And it became really hard to continue when I wasn't getting the results as fast as I wanted. I still can't walk a block. What am I doing? Eventually, eventually the results came,
Hmm.
but it wasn't overnight. And it had to be showing up for myself, showing up for my body, loving myself, loving my body long enough for those results to happen.
Mm, mm-mm.
And it was worth more than I could have ever imagined.
So much power, so much power. So wrapping up here, what are the, let's say, what are the three main takeaways you want somebody to take away from this interview, this video here? What are three main things you want people to walk away from, to be empowered with, to be encouraged with? What are three main things?
The loudest one that's coming to mind is love yourself and know that you are enough as you are today,
Mhm.
no matter what. There has to be a start of giving yourself that grace, of knowing that you're enough and you're worthy of the good things. And the good things can be whatever. Two, movement is medicine. As
Mm.
much as we want to fight that, movement is medicine. And you either move or you hurt. It's just a reality. You know,
It is.
we are animals that need to move. Um, and I guess the third one would just be like what we were talking about earlier. Age doesn't have to be pain. It doesn't have to be. It can be whatever you make it. And it can be pretty powerful if you make good decisions.
Yes, it can. Absolutely. All right. Chandra, how can people how can people reach out to you? What's the best way that people can reach out to you, connect with you, sign up for your Pilates? How can people connect with you?
Well, there's probably the two best ways are my website. It's www.strollingskye, and that's skye.com. And that's where they can book a peer coaching session. I offer services for women going through traumatic breakups and women battling PMDD. And I also set appointments for mat Pilates virtually on there. So that's strollingskye.com. Or my Instagram is at strollingskye. You can follow along and reach out to me there as well.
Awesome, awesome. I really, really appreciated having you on today on expert interviews with Ken. It's been a pleasure having you on this the show and just talking about all this. It's just I even feel empowered. I love this. You know, this is great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for being willing to come on and be interviewed and just have a conversation. So, any last words or last thoughts, something you want to leave people with before we click off here?
Just thank you for what you do. You're definitely an inspiration. So keep doing what you're doing.
Ah, thank you. I will. And you as well. All right, guys, that
Thank
is a
you.
wrap for today's show here. Expert interviews with Ken. Stay tuned for the next interview that will be popping up. In the meantime, have a great rest of your day or evening, depending on where you are in the world. And I will talk to you again soon.